guys.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're in the Kitekite waterfall.
It's kite, except you gotta get your New Zealand on, like we have.
And well, we're gonna show you all the way how we got here. And
Show them the falls.
it's pretty cool. New Zealand is pretty cool. Hope you enjoy.
Hey guys, so here's another one of the New Zealand videos. As we said, we can't travel right now, but we can show you some beautiful pictures from our travels back then in anticipation for the next one. So this is our wilderness hiking day in New Zealand.
This is not too far from where we stayed in Auckland.
No. This is the Waitakere Visitor Center, so it's basically in the Waitakere Ranges, which are just kind of like a suburb of Auckland, you could say. There are houses, by the way, and I think that they're the best houses in Auckland.
With houses in the wilderness, you never know how much the wilderness affects the house. Like, do they have like bugs and creatures everywhere? And it's...
Well, in New Zealand, there are not that many things that can kill you.
I think it's nothing that can kill you in New Zealand.
All right, so so we started our day just driving through these ranges, and we visited one of the locations.
Talk about that. This is really important.
Yes.
This anywhere you go, you have to do one of these.
One of the locations of one of the largest Kauri trees in the area. Kauri trees are the second largest trees in the world, and they are endangered. They're endangered because of a specific pest.
Is it a pest or a fungus?
It's a pest, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. That attacks them.
Yeah.
And it's not native there, so it's brought like on shoes and on clothes and everything from visitors. So what they have is that they have these disinfecting stations before you go into trails. And you are kindly asked to disinfect at least your shoes and make sure, that you don't have several of a list of other pests as well.
You can see the city there.
Yeah.
Look at that. There you go. So we're pretty far, but far enough that you can still see it if you're really looking. And with that in mind, you can see how wild this place is. This is New Zealand in a nutshell. It's incredible nature, and as Rania was saying, these trees are under threat. There's a lot of other things under threat because New Zealand was so remote from the rest of the world that it existed in its own form of balance. And with people going there, people coming there from other places, bringing things, pests, whatnot, there's a lot of things that the New Zealand locals need to take into account if people want to see.
I mean, as a visitor, you ought to respect that. So yes, we did the best we could to disinfect everything before going into the trails. And this is another trail. These are... I'm going to remember it.
Okay. Well, these trees look very different from above and below because above they have kind of like a solid green like dome. So if you see the trees from above, it's like, oh yeah, green trees. But if you're on the ground, if you're walking among the trees, it's this like incredible landscape where like all these trees look totally dead, but they're not at all dead. All those trees are totally fine. So there's so many unbelievable things about the plant life there. You can kind of see a bit what I'm talking about here. Like above there, it's entirely green, and when you get into it a little bit, it's a totally different landscape.
So these are our day continued to walking on Cliffside, kind of. You're gonna see it a bit later.
It was a big walking day.
Big walking day.
Yes.
And we are kind of above a beach nearby that is called Piha, and it's a black sand beach. We ended our day there, so we're gonna actually see it. Oh, this is manuka trees. Do you know how the best, probably the most beneficial honey in the world,
Oh, yes, the honey.
and the most expensive honey in the world probably comes from New Zealand and from manuka trees? These are them, those white tiny flowers.
I believe it was so the bees make the best honey from that, but the bees don't particularly like that tree, so you have to isolate them in regions where they have not
Only
a lot
that
of other
to eat.
options.
It's like, okay, not so great, but I guess I'll eat that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky enterprise, to say the least. Oh, and you see those little poles? Those are natural. Those were trees. They're kind of like trees that had died, and they leave this like tree-like. We'll see it from time to time throughout this area. This tree-like skeleton that I couldn't believe was not like a sculpture. Yeah, I thought it was a sculpture. I thought it was like Mari art that they just left around to kind of enrich the landscape as they actually do. But no, that's absolutely totally natural, and it's again another unbelievable thing that nature produces down there.
You will also see in many areas, I don't believe that is a silver fern, but you will also see, the national, basically, plant of New Zealand, and that is on many of the art and on many logos, which is the silver fern. This is the cliffs that we walked along.
Where the land meets the water, it's always a beautiful sight. And when you have those like incredible cliff sides, it's really a thing you have to experience. But we're giving you a teaser through the video.
Trust me, about this time I was starting to get really tired.
Yes. What does that say? Caution to what?
It's cliff edge. Because yes, the trails did have some like steps to help you and stuff, but they were not fenced at all. So,
and you can see the waves just very gently coming down and kissing the bottom of the rock there. It's such a sight. It's such a sight. It's honestly similar to kind of Scotland when you have the huge cliff sides, but whenever that would happen in Scotland, there'd be like a castle right there. No castles in New Zealand that we know of. Anyway,
we did have a guide, of course, that walked with us, because I don't know if it's completely safe to just go there all on your own.
Yeah.
There are many trails and paths.
Mm-hmm.
And we thank her for the experience, because she was amazing.
Look at that. Ocean for as far as you can see. And I can't get over how like gentle the waves are.
On that day.
It's such a rugged landscape, but then the waves just little by little.
That is so Piha is actually a black sand beach, and it is a surf beach. Because hey, you can see the waves, right? Before we went there, though,
was it before or after?
Before we went to the beach, we stopped and visited a waterfall.
It's the start of the video that you guys saw. The Kitekite.
Kitekite.
Yes, that one.
Waterfall. So you walk through another trail, again, fully, sanitized and disinfected shoes and everything. And you walk through basically tropical forest trail area. You walk to the waterfall, you go across the waterfall, if you can, if you dare.
Up the steps
up
around.
the waterfall and then back.
See, look, that's kind of like a pigeon. You'll see this a lot in New Zealand, where it's an animal that you kind of recognize,
know, but it's different.
But yeah, it's not really the same. That looks very much like a pigeon, but it's obviously not a pigeon.
But all the nature there is just worth it to just sit, and look and take it all in.
There is a certain perspective that you guys watching need to understand as well. So this is like, I think, half an hour from Auckland. Like, you can see Auckland, right? One of the main cities in New Zealand.
Maybe an hour, but yeah.
Yeah, so
that's the idea.
this is like, you know...
It's like half a day trip, even less.
This is like driving half an hour out of the city to go for a walk in the park. This is their park. You know, it's unbelievable. Like we have parks around here, but they don't like anything like this. And the waterfall, you got a bit of a sneak peek. We'll get to it here shortly. But the waterfall, the water that it moves just goes on and on for so long. It's not a vast amount of water, but you really get to follow it. It's really quite a sight. Now, they have some of these artificial paths. They try to keep them as natural as possible, but they have some of those because
of the
landscape is just very rough in some areas.
Also, to make sure that you don't really like, it's not just for your safety; it's also for the safety of trees. Because even though you are supposed to have disinfected everything, some of these trees are still, like the really nice ones or the really old ones or the really valuable ones, they're still fenced off and you can't even go near them in order to make sure they are protected from the invasive
I actually really like these plants. They're so cute. They're like little fuzzy leaves of like different shades of green and purple. Apparently it's quite a famous plant in the area. I just like the aesthetics of it. Now, as we go through this park, we'll see more and different kinds of plants. Look at the size of those ferns. Those are ferns.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have ferns in our backyard. And like the biggest we've got is like the size of a basketball. Those are tree ferns. It's massive.
Yep.
It's a huge difference. Okay, we're crossing the stream here. I think we're closing up on the falls.
Yeah, we are closing up on the falls. And we're kind of wondering who will be able to go over the falls.
I remember walking through the park and it just seeming endless, because here we've gone to a few falls in the area, and the waterfall, it moves some water just a little bit. But when we were in this area near the Kitekite, waterfall, the water that we were following just kept going and going and going. I think we walked like almost an hour to the waterfall.
I don't think it was even a high volume of water season, because we visited in November, which is basically summer there.
I think this is as we get closer and closer to the
Yes,
falls.
it is. There it is.
Oh, this is a sneak peek. We're not there yet. We just found a hole through the ferns to see the little guy.
It's a 3-layer waterfall, I believe.
Is it 3?
I think so.
Okay.
I didn't remember that, but I looked it up. It's about 40 meters, which is 120 feet.
Approximately.
Yeah. And as you get closer to it, you just keep crossing
little streams, wetter and wetter areas.
And that's where you get to the base of the waterfall, yeah.
Now, the base of the waterfall was quite an adventure that we'll see here in a moment. There was very few people that were able to cross this area on their own. Usually it was one person who was more able, went ahead and kind of helped the others along.
So your options are either cross and go back from the other side, because there's a trail on the other side, or just turn back, right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to go at the top of the waterfall, you have to cross, because the path to go up there is from the other side of the waterfall. So yes, we were considering if we should be crossing at this point.
This is really such a marvelous place.
Because the day was still young and we didn't exactly want to be soaked.
This is the crossing area that we're talking about. It was a pretty wide area, and the water moves quite fast, as you can see. All right, we're on our way up. We crossed. And you're going to start seeing some more of these trees that we talked about earlier. I believe they're called the Kauri trees. And they're really big trees, but these aren't quite as big as the first one that we had earlier in the video.
Yeah, I don't think we have footage from where we crossed, because we were like...
Yes, the actual action of crossing, it happened, guys.
It happened.
This is the top of the falls.
But this is the top of the falls, yes.
And it looks like the water vanishes into nowhere when you're at the top, because it's such a flat area. Obviously we don't know how these waterfalls are created. I'm not sure anyone knows, but it's a wild place.
Hey, next time with the drone.
I don't know. I don't think we didn't see anyone with a drone in this area. I don't think they allow drones. Good thing too. Take it in, guys. Take it. Do you hear the water? Do you hear the acoustics? I was surprised on how few people there actually were there. But yeah, here we're going back down.
Well, it does take a bit of hiking, so...
It's true. This is the other side of the path.
And these are just, small streams that you...
This is a novice level crossing. No big deal. No big deal.
Yeah, this is an easier crossing.
Yeah, just find a rock and get some photos. That's what New Zealand's all about. But I mean, look at that. All around you. I think these are similar trees to the ones that I described earlier, that they have kind of like a heavy branching skeleton underneath, but above there's a totally green dome. And they hide so much of it. I actually wonder if we got much footage from the air in this area. That would be tough to get. We may have gotten some of it. It's from above, it looks so different than below. You have to be on the ground walking through these areas if you're ever in New Zealand to really experience it.
It's kind of the footage of there at the beginning of this video when we were at the visitor center and looking down. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like you see a bed of trees. And it's really difficult to see what's inside the trees. I do think I don't know if we have the footage here. So I do think we found a mouse.
That's right.
On our way back.
Look at this crazy tree.
Yeah, this is crazy. And I do want to mention it before we went. I guess we don't have the footage here, but we did find a mouse. Mm-hmm. And there are no mice. Mice are invasive species.
They're from elsewhere.
Yes.
They're not native to New Zealand.
So we did actually have to report it. And our guide has like a number that she reports.
But snitches get stitches.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't there when they were looking for it. So that is the black sand beach. It's called Piha. And normally, as I said, it's a surf beach. I don't know if...
I think it was a bit cold on these days that we went for the hikes.
I don't think that was an issue. Maybe it was just, wrong winds or something. And it's sparkling.
Oh yeah, you can kind of see that too.
It is amazingly sparkling. Also, it's mildly magnetic. So our guide had the magnetic phone case, mm-hmm. and she opened it. She dipped the cover in the sand, and the button of the magnetic button of the cover, it just held sand.
I actually forgot that happened until you mentioned it just now. No, I remember now. These areas, they have a lot of caves I think it's from the surf, and it's from the active geological area.
From the surf?
The water, the waves, yeah. Well, I think they both play a part because they're so high in some
they're not
areas.
exactly caves, they're just ridges cut into the rocks.
Both.
Yeah.
There's definitely both. And you could tell some people go in here from time to time, so we couldn't resist. It's a fantastic shot. There you go. And I think there were houses above, by the way. It's like, man, I'd really love to live here. Mm-hmm. Some people do. Some people.
I think there were houses at the edge of the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this is the last site. I think these are
crazy trees.
More of those trees with the dome above.
Yeah.
But they were particularly large, and they were all in one massive area.
All in all, a pretty awesome day. And yeah, as we said, definitely, if you get a chance, absolutely recommend it.
More to come, guys. Thanks for watching.